Hey everyone, Pastor Matt here from Cornerstone Church in Marshfield, and I'm here today with the Cornerstone Connection, a daily devotional. Before I get to this, let me just say, veterans out there, those who have served in the military, thank you so much. It's Veterans Day, and we couldn't say thank you enough for your service and for your sacrifice, and also that of your family and your loved ones. So thank you for serving in our military. All right, moving on to our Cornerstone Connection and God's Word today. I want to just start with this. When I was growing up, of course there's times as a child, as a teenager, in which I would moan and groan and complain. I'd be bored, I'd say things aren't fair, and my parents would say something to the effect of, you have no idea how good you have it. You have a really, really good life. And let's just be honest, they were right. I didn't understand how good of a life I had. I didn't have a perspective that went beyond my own home, or at least my own country, and didn't understand the suffering of some in our world. And you know what? I have said similar things to my own kids when they moan and groan and complain and say things aren't fair or that they're bored. And I just remind them, you have a really good life. You're extremely blessed with the life that you have, that you're living. Well, the reason I bring that up is because today, as we move into the book of Hebrews, and we're in chapter 8 today, the writer of Hebrews is talking about, throughout the chapter, he's talking about the old covenant that God made with his people in the Old Testament. And then he talks about the new covenant that was made through the shedding of the provision of Christ and the shedding of his blood on the cross, and that covenant being established with us. And I'm going to read for us here in just a moment from verse 8 through verse 12. And I want to read this for us because I think sometimes, I know I'll speak for myself, sometimes I forget, as a child of God, how good I have it. And it's an applicable message today, especially on Veterans Day, when we live in this country where we have lots of freedoms. And we are blessed to have a great military who helps preserve those freedoms. And I'll be honest, I lose sight of how good I have it. But I even have it better as a child of God. And so, as I read these verses, and this is God speaking, I want you to hear these words, and perhaps today you realize or just need to be reminded of, as a child of God, if you're a Christian follower of Christ, just how good you have it. So listen to this in verse 8. It says this, and this is God speaking. The time is coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. It will not be like the covenant I made with their forefathers when I took them by the hand to lead them out of Egypt, because they did not remain faithful to my covenant, and I turned away from them, declares the Lord. So we get this glimpse of the old covenant that was highly dependent on the people and them holding their end of the bargain and them being faithful to the covenant that God established, and they just couldn't do it. Verse 10 here. This is the covenant I will make in the house of Israel, this new covenant. After that time, declares the Lord, I will put my laws in their minds. I'll write them on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer will a man teach his neighbor or a man his brother, saying, know the Lord, because they will all know me, from the least to the greatest. This is my favorite part, for I will forgive their wickedness, and I will remember their sins no more. As I read verse 12, I can't help but say, wow, how good I have it as a child of God, as a follower of Christ, as one who has placed my faith and trust in Jesus. I mean, if you just look at verse 12, who's the one doing the forgiving? Who's the one who is credited with my wickedness being forgiven? Not me, God. Who's the one that deserves the credit for my sins being wiped clean and being remembered no more? Not me, but God. Friends, my hope is that as I talk to you today, I'm talking to a child of God. But perhaps I'm not. And perhaps as you hear those words, you go, wow, that sounds like a really good life. to know that my wickedness is forgiven, that my sins are no longer remembered. And here's the beauty. This new covenant that was established through Christ is a covenant for all people. You don't have to be from the family line of Israel. You don't have to be Jewish. You didn't have to grow up in a certain denomination of church or in a certain country. This covenant was established through Christ so that all men, women, teenagers, and children might be saved and walk with God right now here on earth and into eternity. So, my encouragement to you is if that sounds like a good life to you, let me encourage you to embrace it. It's only found through Christ. Have a great day, friends. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.